Welcome to Ask and Learn.
Alrighty, so for the first part, we'll take f of x, the absolute value of that is going to be equal to the absolute value of x squared minus 4x plus 17. And we want to show that it is big O of x3. So we want to show that this is O of x3. Okay, well, so we want to be showing that this is less than or equal to some constant times x3, right? So luckily we can take this formula, and this is for the case where x is greater than 1. This will be less than or equal to the absolute value of x cubed minus 4x cubed plus 17x cubed. Okay. Which is just equal to 20x cubed. Right, so that gives us a c value of 20 here. Now for the second part, we want to show that f of x being, take the absolute value of that, x cubed is not big O of x squared plus 4x plus 17. Right, and really the thing to really note here, right, is that this x squared is a lower power than the function we're working with. So let's do a proof by contradiction. So let's assume that it is, right? So let's pretend for a second that this function is big O. Okay, well, so that would mean that the absolute value of x cubed must be less than or equal to some constant times the absolute value of x squared plus 4x plus 17. For some x larger than k. All right, so let's just assume that k is greater than 17, right? So let's say k is greater than 17. And thus x is also greater than 17. All right, and k is a lower boundary, so it's fine to do this. And we'll also assume that c is greater than or equal to 0. And this is okay because the absolute value can't be negative anyway. Okay. And so if c were less than 0, it would change that whole relationship, right? Okay, so we're going to use the property that the absolute value of a plus b is less than or equal to the absolute value of a plus the absolute value of b. To get, let's start a new page here. So if we have x cubed less than or equal to c times x squared plus 4x plus 17, we'll get that this is less than or equal to c times the absolute value of x squared plus the absolute value of 4x plus the absolute value of 17. Okay, well this is just equal to c times x squared plus 4x plus 17. Right, which is going to be less than or equal to c times x squared plus x squared plus x, right? Because we assume that x is at least 17, which is allowing us to say that, sort of change this 4 and the 17 into an x and know that it's going to be a greater value. Okay, well, this means that this is less than or equal to c times x squared plus x squared, and multiplying it by another x here is only going to make it larger, so we can do that again, right? So this is actually going to give us c times 3x squared. Okay, so just equal to 3cx squared, but we have a contradiction, right? Because the absolute value of x cubed isn't less than, it's actually greater than. Okay? And not equal to, it's actually going to be strictly greater than. So this is where a contradiction is. X cubed is not less than, but rather greater than. And since we had a contradiction, then we know that f of x being x cubed is not going to be big O of the x squared plus 4x plus 17.